Hello, Gourd friends, and welcome to my studio. If you're new here, I am glad to have you here. My name is Jen Avery, and I'm a gourd artist, especially a gourd pyrographer, which means I like to burn images on gourds, and I like to also teach others how to do the same. If this is something that you've ever tried before, perhaps shading has been a little bit challenging. In my 20-ish years of teaching gourd pyrography, I found that shading has been the most difficult for students to grasp. And I've also found that there's some common mistakes that I keep seeing happening again and again, which is holding my students back. So if this sounds like you, then stick around for this video. I'm going to go over some of those common mistakes, and maybe one of those things will help you. But stick around to the end of the video, because chances are there might be some things that are not your technique, but something else. It's not you, it's something else. So, while I go over some of these different issues, I'm going to roll some footage of me working on a sweet little rabbit gourd. So, enjoy. Number one, your pen is too hot, or your pen is too cool. Many students turn the heat up too far and burn too hot, whether it is because they're in a rush or think they need to go dark right away. I don't know. A lot of times what people do then is turn down the heat too much, and then they don't get any color at all. And then that results in frustration, and then they turn up the heat again and turn it up too much, resulting in hot spots. Okay, so what is a good fix for this? Well, first of all, it's good to have a tester piece so that you're not working directly on your gourd playing around with the temperature. So if you have a little scrap piece of gourd, it's good to keep that nearby and always test your temperature before you work on your final piece. I like to start on a low heat, but not too low. I don't start on a 0. I usually start it somewhere around a 3, and then turn it up a tiny bit until I get a good color that I'm looking for. And when I say that, it's also a color that you can control. So you want to play around on that little scrap piece a little bit and make sure that you're able to color in a nice gradient tone, a nice even tone with that temperature. If you find that you are burning too dark, obviously turn it down just a little bit. And if it's starting to not give you much color at all, or if it's really spotty, then you might want to turn it up just a little bit, and very small increments can sometimes be all you need. Number 2, you're burning too fast. This is kind of related to burning too hot. Instead of building tone in layers, you try to achieve the tones in one go, and usually burning too hot at the start. What happens then is the smooth tone you set out for will turn out splotchy and probably darker than you want. Remember, you can always go over again for darker tones, but you can't lighten it back up. So to remedy this, try to shoot for a shade or two lighter than you actually need. Then slowly go over it again until it darkens up. Yes, it does take longer, but by going over it again, you will fill in any holes or gaps and it will turn out smooth. Number 3, you're impatient. I know it's difficult. And trying to get your burning done in one sitting is not going to happen unless it's a very small piece of art. Impatience to finish your gourd will lead to what we talked about in 1 and 2, as well as not paying attention to where your tonal values are and burning it just to get it done. Your shading will not be smooth because you're rushing, in addition to possibly burning your values wrong and your forms wrong. This takes time to pay attention to all of this, and pyrography is a slow art. The solution to this is a big one. Learn to love the process. Although you may be anxious to see your project, this idea that was born in your mind, come to life under your fingers, this is a special thing that is not to be rushed. I love the time that I can sit and work on a piece of gourd art, burning away, watching this design unfold and enter into this calm feeling of timelessness. Even if you're on a limited schedule, and work on your burning for an hour or even a half-hour sessions, set realistic goals for yourself. Know and accept that in this time, you may only get a few square inches done, and that's okay. Number 4, you're trying to cover too much ground. This one I see all too frequently. This means what you're doing is moving the pen from one area, then giving up and moving it to another area without letting the pen time to do its work, or using wide, swift strokes. Again, the pen not really coming into long enough contact with the gourd to really do anything or burn the gourd at all, except at the start and finish of the stroke. And you can tell this a lot when you see that you're burning spots. There's a spot at the beginning of your stroke and a spot at the end of the stroke, because these are the two times where you've slowed down, starting and ending, and the stuff in the middle is just rushed through. So the fix for this, move your pen in small strokes. And keep a good contact of your pen to the gourd while you're doing this, watching as you're going and moving the pen only as you start to get the tone that you need. Number 5, inconsistent speed. Okay, now this one you need to watch. When you are burning, are you moving the pen fast, then slowing down, and then moving it fast again? This could be why your shading is spotty and not smooth. Now, sometimes a design or the gourd itself necessitates a change in pen speed, but this is when it's controlled and intentional. Again, temperature plays a role. If your pen is hot, you'll need to move your pen a little faster to prevent scorching. But if it's cooler, you can slow down, but try to keep your pen moving at a steady pace. Okay, so I just want to pause the video real quickly before we go on to our last two in the category of it's not you, it's something else, and let you know about my online classes. So I have a few classes that are just on gourd pyrography that are available as a, you can go through it at your own pace. And one of them is 8 butterflies. And that is a class that is especially for the brand new gourd pyrographer. I go over 3 different pens, my favorite pens, and a few different techniques for each of those pens. And in the end, you'll have a gourd with different butterflies using all of those techniques. The other class I have is very similar to this little rabbit that you're watching me burn now. And it is a rabbit class, and it is doing a lot, well, everything with the shader. So you'll be learning how to do the eye and the fur and doing negative space with the brambles in the background. So if either of these interest you, then check it out below. I'll leave a link in the description box below for you to take a look. Okay, so there's my little plug, and let's get on with the It's Not You. Okay, so now we're on number 1 of the It's Not You category, and that is, it's your pen. There's several reasons of why your pen might be failing you. 1, maybe it's not heating up correctly. Check your cord connections. That's the first thing I always look at if a student in my class is having trouble with their pen heating up. Make sure the cord is pushed in tight to the pen and to your burner regulator. Another issue is that your pen just might be really dirty. Carbon buildup can and will prevent your burning to be smooth. I wipe my pen periodically on a scrap of denim cloth. Usually I don't need more than that. If it's in need of a good cleaning, I do rub it over a piece of leather treated with a tiny, very tiny bit of honing compound. Be careful when using anything abrasive when cleaning your pens. Doing this too often can shorten the life of your pens. So just to recap, keep your pens clean. Okay, so number 2, it's your gourd. When all else fails, it just may be your gourd. I have worked with more than a few gourds in my time that have just not burned well. There's some varieties of gourds that are well known to have a waxy residue, like a cannonball and basketball gourds. They can also have hairline indents, kind of like a leather surface. Some are more pronounced than others. In fact, it's not uncommon to have people question you whether or not the gourds are indeed leather because the surface can appear so similar. Anyway, if this is the case, your burning will only contact the more raised area and make the grooves more pronounced. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if your goal is super smooth shading, then this type of gourd should be set aside for a different project. Something else to watch out for when you're burning on gourds is the mold patterns. The dark and light spots often vary in density, and you can have thin areas that will burn much more quickly than the darker areas. That is another reason to start with a lower heat while you get to know the idiosyncrasies of the gourd that you are working on. Okay, everybody, so I just wanted to sign off here, but before I let you go, I just want to say thank you if you have made it through the video this far. Thanks for sticking around and listening. And I just wanted to remind you to go down to the description box if they have a few links down there. One is for my website if you're interested in maybe signing up for my newsletter, or if you'd like to see some of my artwork. Also, again, there's a link for my online classes if you would like to learn more about gourd pyrography. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, happy gourding and happy burning, happy gourd burning.